Nobody dared to go in a black hole except humans. HFY Sci-Fi story. The darkness of space stretched endlessly before Dr. Hana Kim as she stood at the observation deck of Lunar Base Alpha, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing real-time images of what scientists were now calling the Void Maw, a massive black hole that had appeared at the edge of the Milky Way 6 months ago. "Still watching it?" asked Do-Yun, her research assistant, as he brought her a steaming cup of coffee. "It shouldn't be there," Hana said, accepting the drink with a grateful nod. "Black holes don't just appear. They form from collapsed stars over millions of years. This one showed up overnight. The Void Maw defied all known laws of physics. Its sudden appearance had thrown the scientific community into chaos and the Galactic Council of Intelligent Species into panic. Every major spacefaring civilization had sent representatives to discuss the phenomenon. Hana looked down at her tablet, reviewing the latest sensor data. The numbers didn't make sense. Nothing about this black hole followed expected patterns. "The council meeting starts in 10 minutes, Do-Yun reminded her. "They want your input as Earth's leading astrophysicist." Hana sighed. These meetings had become a daily routine, filled with fear and indecision. She collected her notes and headed toward the conference center. The circular room was already filled with beings from across the galaxy. The air hummed with translation devices as representatives from 23 species discussed the black hole in anxious tones. Hana took her seat next to Admiral Tae Sun, Earth's military representative. "They're all terrified," Tae whispered to her. "The Serenians lost their entire scientific fleet to a black hole exploration mission 2 centuries ago. The Vorians believe black holes are where souls go to be judged." The meeting was called to order by Grand Ambassador Kel of the Centrans, the oldest spacefaring race present. "We have gathered again to discuss the anomaly," Kel began, his scaled skin reflecting the room's light. "Our combined observations show it is expanding at an alarming rate. We must decide on a course of action." The Mirror representative stood, her forearms moving in precise patterns of her species' formal communication style. "The only safe action is distance. We propose moving civilian populations from the outer systems." Murmurs of agreement filled the room. Hana frowned. They were talking about evacuating trillions of beings. "What about investigation?" she asked, rising to her feet. The room fell silent. "We need to understand what we're dealing with. I propose sending a research vessel." The silence broke into a chorus of objections. "Impossible. Too dangerous. No ship could survive." Admiral Tae stood beside her. "Dr. Kim is right. We need information." The Serenian delegate, a crystalline being named Lux, floated forward. "My ancestors attempted what you suggest. None returned. The gravity well is too strong, the radiation too intense. No known materials can withstand such forces." "We have new materials," Hana countered. "Human engineers have developed experimental gravitational shielding. It's untested in these conditions, but the simulations are promising." "You would risk lives on simulations?" asked Ambassador Kel. "I would volunteer to go myself," Hana replied firmly. The room erupted again. The idea was madness, they said. Suicide. Hana stood her ground as the arguments flew around her. Later, as she walked back to her lab with Tae, the Admiral shook his head. "They'll never approve it, you know. Too much risk." "Then we'll go without approval," Hana said quietly. "I've already spoken with Captain Jiho. The Horizon Breaker is ready for modifications." Tae stopped walking. "You can't be serious. That's not just against Council decisions, it's against direct orders." "The Council doesn't give humans orders," Hana reminded him. "We joined as equals, not subjects." In her lab, Hana found 3 messages waiting. One from Jiho confirming the ship would be ready in weeks. One from her old friend Sang Lee, the engineer who had helped develop the shielding technology. And one from Yoon Park, the best communication specialist in the fleet. They were all in. They all understood the risks. Hana looked up at the large screen showing the Void Maw. Something about it called to her, not just as a scientist, but as a human. Throughout history, her species had faced the unknown and pushed forward while others held back. Her private line beeped. It was Ambassador Kell. Dr. Kim, the ancient being said, his voice carrying the wisdom of centuries. I sense you will not be dissuaded. No, Ambassador, I won't. The Council will not stop you, though we cannot officially sanction this mission. A pause. My species has existed for 50,000 of your years. In that time, we have learned that some boundaries are not meant to be crossed. With respect, Ambassador, testing boundaries is what humans do best. After disconnecting, Hana sent a message to her team. Mission approved. We leave in 3 weeks. That night, as she packed her research materials, Do-Yoon entered her office. The rumors are true then, you're really going, Hana nodded. Someone has to. The other species think we're crazy, he said, helping her organize data drives. Hana smiled for the first time that day. Maybe we are, but sometimes that's exactly what's needed. As she looked out her window at the stars, Hana felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. No one had ever returned from inside a black hole, but then again, no human had ever tried. Nobody dared to go in a black hole except humans. HFY Sci-Fi story. The Horizon Breaker floated in the secret orbital shipyard above Mars, its sleek hull now covered with scaffolding and work pods. Engineers swarmed over the vessel like ants, installing the experimental gravitational shielding that might be the only thing to keep them alive once they crossed the event horizon of the Void Maw. Sang Lee floated outside the ship's main engine section, carefully directing the installation of the primary shield generator. His breath made small clouds inside his helmet as he spoke into the comm. Be gentle with that coupling. It's rated for normal spacetime. We don't know how it will behave near the black hole. A worker nodded and slowed his movements. Everyone on the project understood the stakes. They were attempting something no species had ever successfully done, not just approach a black hole but enter it and hopefully return. Inside the ship, Captain Jiho inspected the bridge. The standard control panels had been modified with new displays to monitor the shielding systems. Everything looked alien, even to his experienced eyes. Will any of this actually work? He asked when Sang joined him an hour later. Sang removed his helmet and wiped sweat from his forehead. In theory, yes. In practice? He shrugged. We'll be the first to find out. Comforting, Jiho replied with a small smile. The door slid open and Hana entered with Yoon Park, who would serve as their communications specialist. Yoon looked around the bridge with wide eyes. She was younger than the others, but her brilliance with communication systems was unmatched. The Ansible comm system is being installed now, she reported. If anything can maintain a signal through the event horizon, this will. And if it can't? Jiho asked. Then we'll be alone in there, she replied simply. The four stood in silence, the weight of their mission hanging between them. They were risking everything on theories and hope. A week later, the final preparations were complete. The crew of 12 gathered in the ship's mess hall for their last meal before departure. The mood was solemn but determined. These were all volunteers, the best scientists and crew Earth could offer, and all willing to face the unknown. I received another message from the Galactic Council today, Hana told them as they ate. They've officially registered their objection to our mission. The Serenians have even stationed observer ships at the edge of our solar system. To watch us leave or to try to stop us? Asked Min, the ship's medical officer. Just to observe, they claim, Hana replied. But they're scared, all of them. Jiho stood holding up his glass. To fear, then. May it never stop humans from doing what must be done. They drank the toast. No one mentioned that this might be their last meal in known space or anywhere. The launch was quiet and without ceremony. The Horizon Breaker slipped away from Mars orbit under minimal power, avoiding detection by civilian tracking systems. Only when they were beyond the orbit of Jupiter did they engage the main engines. The journey to the edge of the solar system took just 3 days with their advanced propulsion. As they passed Neptune, they detected the Serenian observation vessels. The alien ships made no move to intercept them, but sent a simple message. We bear witness to your passage. Shun found Jiho on the observation deck that night staring at the distant stars. Having second thoughts, Captain? She asked. Jiho shook his head. No, but I am thinking about why we're doing this while no one else will. And? What's your answer? Curiosity, he said. It's our greatest strength and possibly our fatal flaw. We need to know what's on the other side. The journey to the black hole took 3 weeks. As they approached, the effects became noticeable. Time began behaving strangely. Communications with Earth became distorted. The stars behind them shifted color, their light stretching as it struggled against the immense gravity. Sang worked constantly to adjust the shields. The math is holding, he reported during a tense meeting. But we're seeing effects I didn't anticipate. The boundary between dimensions is getting thin. Meaning what? Hana asked. Meaning reality. Itself is becoming flexible out there, he replied. We're entering territory no physics textbook has ever described. 2 days from the projected crossing point, they encountered something unexpected, a graveyard of ships, twisted metal, and alien designs floated in the warped space around the black hole's influence. Scan them, Jiho ordered. Hana studied the readings. Some of these are ancient, thousands of years old. Others might be from civilizations we haven't even encountered yet. Time dilation effects, Yoon suggested? Possibly, or something else entirely. The discovery shook them all. These were the remains of those who had tried before and failed. That night, Jiho called the entire crew together. Tomorrow we make final approach. I want to be clear, this is your last chance to change your minds. We can turn back now, report what we've found, and no one would think less of us. Silence filled the room. Then Sang spoke up. All those ships out there failed because they weren't us. They weren't human. We've spent our entire history doing what others said couldn't be done. One by one, the crew nodded their agreement. Then it's settled, Jiho said. Final checks tonight. Tomorrow we make history, or become part of it. As the crew dispersed, Hana stayed behind. What aren't you telling them? She asked Jiho, when they were alone. The captain sighed. The shield calculations. They're perfect for crossing the event horizon, but Sang isn't confident about them holding for a return journey. Hana nodded slowly. So this might be one way. It always was, Jiho replied. But humans have a way of making the impossible possible. Outside the viewports, the stars twisted around the growing darkness ahead. The void maw waited. Nobody dared to go in a black hole except humans. HFY Sci-Fi story, The Horizon Breaker, trembled as it approached the event horizon of the void maw. On the bridge, the crew worked in tense silence. Every system was pushed to its limits. The black hole filled their view screens, a perfect circle of absolute darkness surrounded by the twisted light of stars being pulled toward it. Shield status, Captain Jiho demanded, his voice steady despite the fear everyone felt. Sang's fingers flew across his console, holding at 93%. The strain is increasing but within expected parameters. Hana stared at her readings with growing excitement and terror. The physics here. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Space-time is folding in ways that shouldn't be possible. Final approach, Jiho announced. Everyone, secure yourselves. Yoon, send the last transmission to Earth. Yoon nodded and spoke clearly into her communications array. Earth Control, this is Horizon Breaker. We are crossing the event horizon in 60 seconds. If you receive this, know that we went in with open eyes. The ship pushed forward, engines straining against the immense gravity. The hull creaked like an old wooden ship in a storm. Lights flickered. For a moment it seemed like the Horizon Breaker might tear itself apart before they even reached their goal. 30 seconds, Jiho called out. Hana looked around at her. Crewmates, 12 humans about to go where no living being had ever returned from. Their faces showed fear, yes, but also determination. This was humanity at its best, reaching into the unknown. 10 seconds. Everyone gripped their stations. The ship shuddered violently. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The universe seemed to stretch. Colors blurred, sound distorted. Every person on the bridge felt their bodies being pulled in impossible directions. Hana tried to scream but couldn't hear her own voice. It was like being torn apart and compressed at the same time, and then stillness. The violent shaking stopped. The alarms fell silent. The bridge lights stabilized. "Status report," Zhou called out, his voice sounding strange in the sudden quiet. "Shields holding at 60%, Sang replied, sounding surprised. "Hull integrity intact." Did we make it?" Yoon asked. Hana checked her instruments, then looked up with wide eyes. "We're through the event horizon. We're inside the black hole." "That's impossible," Min said from her medical station. "We should be crushed to a singularity." "External cameras," Zhou ordered. The view screens flickered, and what they showed made everyone gasp. Outside wasn't crushing darkness. Instead, they saw a vast space filled with strange, swirling lights. Streams of energy and colors humans had never seen before flowed around them. Distant structures floated in the void, some looking like debris, others clearly artificial. "It's beautiful," Hana whispered. "What are we seeing?" Zhou asked. "Where are we?" Hana studied her readings. "It's like a pocket universe. The black hole isn't an endpoint, it's a gateway." The ship moved forward cautiously. As they explored deeper, they discovered more strange wonders. Objects moved in patterns that defied normal physics. Light behaved differently here. Time itself seemed fluid, with some ship instruments showing different times despite perfect synchronization before crossing. After several hours of careful exploration, they discovered the first alien ship. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the Horizon Breaker, and clearly dead, floating lifelessly in the void. Serenian design, Hana noted, recognizing the crystalline structure. This must be one of the ships from their lost fleet. "Life signs?" Zhou asked. Min shook her head. "None. If anyone survived the crossing, they're long gone now." They found more ships as they continued, vessels from species both known and unknown to them. A graveyard of explorers who had dared to cross but never found their way back. They all made it through, Sang observed as they catalogued the wrecks. But none of them left. That sobering thought hung over the crew as they continued their exploration. They were alive, yes, but they might be trapped here forever. On the 3rd day, if day even had meaning in this place, they made another discovery. Hana detected unusual energy readings coming from deeper in the pocket universe. Following them led to something none of them expected. "It's a settlement," Yoon said in amazement as they approached a cluster of connected structures built from parts of various ships. "Can you detect any life signs now?" Zhou asked Min. She studied her console. "Yes, but they're strange. Not matching any known species patterns." Zhou made his decision. "Prepare a team. We're going to investigate." Hana, Zhou, Sang, and Min suited up in their specialized environment suits. The readings showed the settlement had atmosphere, but they couldn't be sure it was breathable. They took a shuttle to the floating structure. Docking with the alien station was surprisingly easy. The entrance adapted to their airlock as if it was designed to accommodate any ship. Inside, soft blue light illuminated corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. "Hello?" Zhou called out. "We come in peace." A figure appeared at the end of the corridor. It was humanoid, but clearly not human. Tall and thin with skin that seemed to shimmer between solid and transparent. Its eyes were large and entirely black. "More visitors," it said in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "More who crossed the threshold." The being tilted its head. "But you are different. You are human." "Yes," Hana stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Hana Kim. We came to explore the black hole." The being made a sound that might have been laughter. "Not a hole, a door, a path between spaces." "Who are you?" Zhou asked. "How long have you been here?" "I am Kelnar. I was Centrini once before the crossing." "Time," Time has no meaning here. I have been here for moments or centuries. It is the same. Hana's mind raced. The Centrinis? But they're one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Kelnar nodded. Yes. We too sought knowledge beyond boundaries. Many found only death. Some of us found transformation. Are there others? Min asked. Yes. Changed. Like me. We are few. We watch. We wait. Wait for what? Hana asked. The being's form rippled. For those who can understand. For those who might find the way back. Nobody dared to go in a black hole except humans. HFY Sci-Fi story. The settlement inside the black hole was larger than the humans first thought. Kelnar led them through corridors that seemed to bend in impossible ways. The walls sometimes became transparent, revealing the swirling energies of the void outside. Hana tried to take readings with her instruments, but most of them gave nonsensical results. Your devices struggle here, Kelnar said, noticing her frustration. Reality is flexible in this place. How many of you live here? Zhou asked, noting the empty hallways. 23 beings from 11 former species, Kelnar replied. All who entered and survived the transformation. The corridor widened into a large circular room where other beings floated or stood. Some looked vaguely like species the humans recognized, while others were completely alien. All had the same partially transparent quality as Kelnar, as if they existed halfway between solid matter and energy. The new arrivals, Kelnar announced. They call themselves humans. A being that resembled a tall, thin version of the Serenians approached. Humans. Yes. The young species. Always curious. Always pushing limits. I am Sung, Zhou introduced himself with a small bow. Captain of the Horizon Breaker. And you wish to return to your universe, said another being, this one shaped like a cloud of golden particles. Hana stepped forward. Yes, we came to explore, to learn, but we hope to take that knowledge back. A sound like soft laughter filled the room. Many have hoped, none have succeeded. Kelnar gestured for them to follow. Come, show them the core. They traveled deeper into the settlement. Zhou sent quick updates to the ship describing what they were seeing. Yoon's worried voice came through their comms. Captain, the ship's systems are degrading. Shield strength down to 40%. Something about this place is affecting our technology. Understood, Zhou replied. We'll be quick. The group reached an observation platform overlooking a massive space. In the center floated an enormous structure, a perfect sphere made of a dark material that seemed to absorb light, surrounded by rings of what looked like machinery. The core, Kelnar said. It was here when the first explorers arrived. Perhaps it has always been here. Hana stared in wonder. What is it? We believe it is what maintains this pocket universe inside the black hole, a machine of immense power, built by beings far beyond our understanding. Sang moved closer to the railing, his engineer's mind already analyzing what he was seeing. Those outer rings, they're generators of some kind. And those patterns, he pointed to symbols carved into the surface of the sphere. They look like equations. Yes, said the Serenian-like being. We have studied them for eons. They describe the relationship between your universe and this space. Hana felt her heart race. If we could understand them, could we find a way back? Perhaps, Kelnar said. But it would require power. Great power. Zhou's comm beeped again. Captain. Yoon's voice was more urgent now. Shield strength at 35% and falling. Hull integrity compromised in sections 3 and 7. We need to return to our ship, Zhou told the group. Back aboard the Horizon Breaker, the crew gathered on the bridge. The situation was worse than they feared. The unique physics of the black hole's interior was slowly breaking down their technology. Systems failed one by one. The ship could survive perhaps 2 more days before life support became critical. We need to find a way out, Zhou said, and quickly. Hana shared what they had learned about the core. If it's maintaining this pocket universe, it must have incredible power. If we could tap into that somehow. Sang nodded excitedly. The equations on its surface, if they describe the relationship between universes, they might contain the key to creating a passage back. But we'd need to understand them first, Min pointed out. Hana thought for a moment. The beings here have studied them for years and haven't found a solution. But maybe they've been looking at it wrong. They're not human. What do you mean? Jiho asked. Humans think differently. We make intuitive leaps. We see patterns others miss. Hana turned to Sang. Remember that problem with the Shanghai space elevator? Everyone said the equations were unsolvable. Sang smiled. Until that janitor looked at them and found the solution in 5 minutes. Sometimes you need fresh eyes, Hana said. Let me study those equations. Jiho nodded. You have 12 hours. After that, we need to try something else. Hana worked without rest, reviewing the images they had captured of the core. The symbols were unlike any mathematics she had ever seen, but there was something familiar about their structure, something that reminded her of music, she whispered suddenly. They're like musical notation. She called Yoon to her workstation. These patterns, they're not just equations. They're rhythms, frequencies. Yoon looked skeptical but intrigued. So the solution is what, we play them a song? Not exactly. Hana was typing frantically. But what if the way to communicate with the core isn't through mathematics as we understand it, but through harmonic resonance? They took their theory to Jiho, who looked doubtful but had no better ideas. With the ship's systems failing around them, they returned to the settlement and explained their theory to Kelnar. Harmonic resonance, the being repeated. Yes, that aligns with what we know of the architects. The who? Sang asked. Those who built the core. They were beings of vibration and energy, not solid matter like you or even like we once were. Kelnar agreed to help them, together with some of the other transformed beings. They took the humans to a control room near the core. Ancient interfaces lit up as they approached. No one has attempted to activate the core in thousands of years, Kelnar warned. The results are unpredictable. Hana looked at Jiho, who nodded. They had no choice. The ship was failing. It was try or die. With trembling hands, Hana began to input the frequency pattern she had derived from the symbols. Sang helped, converting her musical notation into the alien interface. If this works, Sang whispered, it could create a pathway back to normal space. And if it doesn't? Min asked. Hana's finger hovered over the final command. Then at least we tried. She pressed it. The core began to hum. The dark sphere at its center started to glow with an inner light. The rings around. It spun faster and faster. Something's happening, Sang said, excitement in his voice. The entire settlement shook. Alarm sounded. Even the transformed beings looked alarmed. It's never done this before, Kelnar said. A beam of intense light shot from the core, cutting through the void. Where it touched the boundary of their pocket universe, space itself seemed to tear open. Hana stared in awe. It's a gateway. To where? Jiho asked. Home, Hana replied. I hope. Nobody dared to go in a black hole except humans. HFY Sci-Fi story. The tear in space hung before them like a shimmering curtain. Through it they could see stars. Normal. Stars, not the twisted light of the black hole's interior. The gateway pulsed, sending waves of energy across the pocket universe. It's unstable, Sang warned, checking the readings on his device. The pathway won't hold for long. Jiho turned to Kelnar and the other transformed beings. Come with us. You've been trapped here for too long. Kelnar's form rippled with what might have been emotion. We cannot. We are no longer compatible with your universe. Our bodies have changed too much. But you'll be trapped here forever, Hana protested. We have been here for eons, another being said gently. This is our home now, but you still belong to the stars outside. Alarms blared through their communicators. Yoon's voice came through tinged with urgency. Captain, the ship's main. Power is failing. Life support systems are at critical levels. Whatever you're doing, do it fast. Zhou made a quick decision. We need to go. Now. With heavy hearts, the humans said goodbye to the strange beings who had helped them. They rushed back to the horizon breaker, finding the ship in worse condition than when they had left it. Sections of the hull were visibly warping under the strange physics of the black hole's interior. Can we make it to the gateway? Zhou asked as they reached the bridge. Sang checked the systems. The engines are at 30%. It might be enough. Might isn't good enough, Zhou replied grimly. Divert all remaining power to the engines and shields. Life support, lights, everything else goes offline. The ship grew dark as systems shut down one by one. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across the faces of the crew. The air grew noticeably colder as the heating systems powered down. Engines at maximum possible thrust, Sang reported. Shields holding at minimum safe levels. The horizon breaker moved slowly toward the gateway. Outside, the structure of the core glowed brighter, the rings spinning so fast they were just blurs of light. The gateway is becoming more unstable, Hana warned, watching her instruments. The energy readings are off the charts. Small breaches appeared in the ship's hull as the stresses increased. Emergency containment fields flickered on and off. The crew worked frantically, knowing they had only one chance. Distance to gateway? Zhou demanded. 500 meters, Yun replied. 400, 300. The ship shuddered violently. A support beam crashed down on the bridge, narrowly missing Min. Warning lights flashed everywhere. The hull can't take much more of this, Sang shouted over the noise. 200 meters. 100. Hold on, Zhou ordered as the ship reached the gateway. The horizon breaker hit the shimmering barrier. For a moment it seemed as if they would bounce off, trapped forever. The ship groaned as metal twisted. Then slowly, agonizingly, the nose of the vessel pushed through. Time seemed to stretch. Space bent around them. Every person on board felt their bodies being pulled apart and squeezed together simultaneously. Someone was screaming. Perhaps all of them were. Then suddenly they were through. Stars, normal, beautiful stars, filled their view screens. The familiar spiral arm of the Milky Way stretched before them. They had made it back to their own universe. Cheers erupted on the bridge. People hugged, cried, laughed. They had done the impossible. They had entered a black hole and returned. Where are we? Zhou asked when the celebrations quieted. Yun checked the navigation systems. About half a light year from the void maw. But something strange. What is it? According to our chronometers, we've been gone for 3 weeks, she said, looking confused. But the galactic positioning system says it's been 2 years since we left Earth. Time dilation. While only weeks had passed for them inside the black hole, years had gone by outside. Hana had expected something like this, but the reality of it still hit hard. Can we send a message home? Zhou asked. Yun nodded. Communications are damaged but functional. I can send a basic signal. Do it. The message was simple. Horizon breaker to Earth control. We went in. We came back. The response came faster than they expected. Within hours, ships appeared on their sensors, human vessels sent to patrol the area around the black hole after the horizon breaker's disappearance. I don't believe it, came the voice of the first captain to reach them. You're alive. The whole galaxy thought you were dead. The damaged horizon breaker was escorted back toward Earth. As they traveled, they received updates on what had happened in their absence. The Galactic Council had declared the mission a tragic failure. Memorial services had been held. And then, life had gone on. Until now. By the time they reached Earth orbit, the news of their return had spread throughout human space and beyond. The horizon breaker, battered and broken but still intact, was met by a fleet of ships, not just human vessels, but ships from every major species in the galaxy. They're here to honor you, said Admiral Zhou's son during their first communication. You've done what no one thought possible. The landing at the main spaceport was broadcast to trillions across the galaxy. The crew, thin and pale from their ordeal, but standing tall, walked down the ramp to thunderous applause. Hana, Jiho sang, and the others looked out at the crowd in amazement. Representatives from the Galactic Council waited to greet them. The Serenian delegate Lux floated forward. "We thought your species foolish," the crystalline being said. "We were wrong. You have courage we had forgotten." In the days that followed, the data they brought back revolutionized physics. The materials they had collected from inside the black hole led to new technologies. The equations Hana had decoded opened up possibilities no one had imagined. Most importantly, humanity's place in the galactic community changed forever. No longer were they seen as the young, reckless newcomers. Now they were known as the species that had stared into the abyss and returned with its secrets. 1 month after their return, Hana stood at a window in the rebuilt lunar base Alpha, looking out at the stars. Admiral Zhou joined her. "The Council approved your proposal," he said. "The first joint species mission to another black hole launches next year." "With human captains," Hana added with a small smile. Of course, no one else would dare. As they looked out at the vast galaxy before them, Hana thought of Kelnar and the others still floating in their pocket universe. Perhaps someday they would find a way to bring them home too. For now it was enough to know that the greatest barrier in space had been crossed. What had seemed impossible was now merely difficult. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was overcoming difficulties. The stars waited, and this time they wouldn't go alone.